This week in video game history, the PlayStation and Dreamcast both celebrate North American release dates this week, each being released on September 9th. Of course, the PlayStation released in 1995, 4 years earlier than Dreamcast, set many of the standards for gaming which we now know today. 3D gaming was clearly established by the PlayStation and its immense library of over 7,000 game titles released worldwide.
The most important thing really is software, and that's what drives this business, that's what drives the PlayStation platform. So certainly I'm looking forward to just seeing a lot of new titles that are going to be developed for the PlayStation.
Sony Computer Entertainment entered the North American market with the original PlayStation that got launched, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, on September 9th of 1995.
One of the common links between the two systems beyond their launch day is Bernard Stolar.
My name is Bernard Stolar. I was the Executive Vice President at Sony PlayStation, later became the President COO Sega of America. When I was hired as one of the executives of the launch team at PlayStation, that was really a new business for Sony overall. Sony had been in the interactive space before as a publisher with Sony ImageSoft. One person had a vision. He's actually the founder and the person that invented PlayStation, Ken Kutaragi. All of a sudden we went from 2D scrolling to 3D. That changed the whole environment of how games were developed and how people played the games.
We had a vision for really revolutionizing the video game industry, not just in terms of what the consumers can expect, but also in terms of how the games were delivered to the consumers through a CD-ROM media.
When we started the company and we're looking at how we wanted to evolve our software, we did not have a platform game. Sony did not have a Mario. It didn't have a Sonic. We were introduced to a group called Naughty Dog that was owned by Universal at the time. They came into the offices for approval. The third-party group looked at the game, I looked at the game, and we said, you know what? Let's not approve this as a third party. Let's just buy it. Because then we can sit there and say, we have a platform game, and we can market it better than anybody because we got a great marketing team. Plus, we had a lot of money to spend.
No, Bandicoot is an Australian.
All of a sudden, the platform had that content.
How cool! I think about the graphics on PlayStation. It's more realistic instead of just like flat on the screen and drawn. They put a lot of work into it, and it comes out very 3D graphical, and it comes out right to the screen.
Fast forwarding 4 years ahead, closer to September 9, 1999, when Sega celebrated the launch of the Dreamcast, the system featured a great lineup of launch titles and some innovations of its own.
I wanted Dreamcast to be a competitive system against PlayStation. I wanted to have the online multiplayer because I knew that Sony was going to lag behind in that area. And I felt that then would be the differentiation between those two systems. I believe that would then take Sega back to be the lead company because I knew Nintendo didn't want to get into that battle.
I thought the launch, and still think the launch, was one of the best product launches I'd ever been involved in. We moved, if I remember rightly, the numbers, somewhere close to about 500,000 units in 72 hours. It was famously called, which I coined in a pub one night, the biggest 24 hours in retail entertainment history. I remember actually not 3 or 4 blocks from here having a party that night and with the team and unfurling a banner that said $97 million worth of product was sold that day in the United States. Sega is the only true gaming company. Unlike our competitors, we do not intend to dominate the living room space. Rather, we're all about bringing the ultimate gaming experience to gamers throughout North America. It was not the right time to talk about online gaming at the launch because there was no online gaming network. SegaNet had not yet launched. It was going to come a year later. with games like NBA 2K1, NFL 2K1, and so it felt
This guy's really fun to watch.
disingenuous to try and talk about online in any real meaningful way before you could actually connect. So from that point of view, we talked about the premise of the box thinking, a lot about artificial intelligence. We had these mysterious 15-second ads, which you might remember on MTV. Don't think out loud, it might hear you. Don't think out loud, it might hear you. It's thinking. And it was only, I want to say 6 to 8 months after the launch of the Dreamcast where we really got involved in heavy marketing of SegaNet and the ability to connect. Sega is taking gamers where gaming is going with the introduction this fall of SegaNet.
I think what Sega is doing with their 3D online gaming coming this fall is going to be quite incredible.
The SegaNet advantage is speed. We get players as close to the gaming network as possible so that they can enjoy true plug-and-play online console gaming.
And we delivered an online gaming experience via a 28K modem. We had a broadband adapter later, you might remember, and Quake was one of the first games that utilized a broadband adapter. But in those days, 1999, 2000, the way most people connected to the internet was via dial-up. And we had to create a pretty decent, which I think, and I take great pride, and Greg Thomas and the guys up at Visual Concepts should take to this day great pride in having created that. It wasn't easy to do. I remember learning about network stacks and all kinds of things that I'd never dreamt of before, but we did it, we delivered it, and they'll never take this away from us. It was the first online gaming experience that anybody really had, through a console, of course.
They were fabulous. They were just terrific. But that's history. That's in the past. Now it's a whole brave new world.
Well, there's a brief look back celebrating the release of two of the most beloved consoles of all time. Be sure to check the site for a feature celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the Dreamcast. And join us next time, this week, in Video Game History.